Well, I think the difference in Jordan and Jabari's game, obviously a year older. Jabari, he's been healthy from start to finish. Both of those guys are doing a good job of putting the ball on the floor. I guess previously a reputation of catch and shoot guys. Now they're doing a really good job of putting the ball on the floor, but being sound with it, not just dribbling the ball to be dribbling, but making plays, attacking the rim, and doing good things, but also distributing the basketball as well. But I think a lot of that has to do with their growth from a physical standpoint also, to be able to take hits, to get around the rim and make plays. So they're doing a good job.
When you were in Australia, I watched just the last game that was streamed live, the Illawarra game, I guess. Jabari seemed to be much more confident, comfortable player on the floor. At times, the last couple of years, he's sort of has looked unsure at times. Didn't see that the other day in that game. Are you seeing a difference in that?
Yes, we have. And I think the biggest key for Jabari is just playing with confidence on both ends of the floor, to understand who he is. He's a good athlete. He's a guy that can make plays offensively. And just to play with instincts as opposed to thinking, and not being so methodical and robotic with his movements, just playing off instincts, reacting to both ends of the floor, reading the defense and making plays and having fun doing that. And I thought he did a good job with that in Australia.
When he got hurt last year and he came back, it was sort of the same pattern as the year before, where it took him a while to sort of find his rhythm again. Is that just something that he has to deal with, or do you think he's maybe moved past that because he's a bit older and more comfortable?
Well, I think, in my 2 cents, and Jabari hadn't said this before, but also the expectation of being Jabari Bird and whatever that meant. So now all of a sudden, if it's not 25 points, did you play well? And my thing, his gauge is playing on both ends of the floor, being a complete basketball player. Now, if it's 15 points, 20 points, 5 points, how was your overall game? And that's the most important thing, to be his gauge, not necessarily worrying about how many shots or how many points I've scored. And that's never been the case with him either. So, but I also want to be thinking about offense, being more aggressively, offensively, to think scoring, to think attacking the rim, playing in transition, getting to the free throw line, because he has that ability to do a lot of things.
That was sort of what I led with, was the idea that with Jalen and Ivan around, there's so much attention on more guys now. You think he has the weight of the world lifted off his shoulder a bit?
I mean, it's hard to tell, because in his mind, he's still Jabari Bird, which he should carry that reputation. That's not a case of, okay, well, I have these guys a lot easier. I don't know if so-called elite players want it easy like that. They want the burden on their shoulders. So I think in his mind, he's just as good as anybody on the team. And it'll be interesting in late game situations. He's a guy that can make shots. He can make a play. Who has the ball in the hand? Because he is a guy that can make a big shot. He can get a big rebound. He can make free throws. So, and I think right now he's playing that way. But I just think we have a lot of parts and guys that can score offensively. I think it helps him, because now you can't defend him how you like to defend him, because there are other guys that can make plays.
How's the competition with the big men looking? Is anyone kind of taking the lead at this point?
Well, I think they're both going back and forth. When you're talking about Kingsley and Cam, both playing hard, and they're playing a lot better. And the thing I said to both of those guys, they're playing now in the past week or so like they belong. And it's one thing to be a Division I player, it's one thing to have size, but the way they play, they have a presence around the rim. And I thought, and a lot of times going to Australia, and maybe the early couple of practices, I thought they were playing, they were part of a team. Now they have a presence as big guys. And again, it's not so much as how many points you score, but how do you impact the paint? How do you be aggressive? How do you be assertive with rebounding, keeping balls alive, taking care of the basketball, scoring when you have an opportunity to score around the rim? And I think both of those guys are doing those things, and it's more competitive.
Can you talk a little bit about the process you have in terms of just incorporating all these different pieces into the offense? Like, how is the offensive scheme coming along with all these new faces?
Well, it's not necessarily the new guys. It's just the offense of what we're doing to execute what we're trying to do. And then one thing about we say about offense, there's a blueprint, there's a game plan, but you also have to play with instincts. You have to read the defense to be able to make plays. So they know when they come down, they flow into offensive actions, and they read the defense. But at the end of the day, every team that we play this year, they will practice as well. They'll have a game plan when we play them. So what that means is they defend you a certain way, here's your read. You have to react and play with instincts. It's not a case of, okay, well, coach, we drew the play up like this, and they didn't defend it like that, so what should we do? Well, that's why you go through it in practice now to be able to make plays, and you read the defense. And I think that's what we talk about. We talk a lot about playing with instincts, and I think we have the personnel to do that. But it's also repetition in practice, going over it all the time, because it'll present itself here shortly.
Cuonzo, how important was it for you to have a late night scrimmage? I know you talked about it before. It's kind of approaching a midnight madness sort
Yes.
of event, but how important was it to have that given the hype surrounding this?
We're excited about the blue and gold scrimmage. And I think for me as a coach, I'm excited to have fans in the House Pavilion, which is obviously a great place. And I think one of the things that it will do is give our guys a chance to play in front of our fans and give them a feel, because it's different when you're practicing, you're behind the scenes. You're in Australia, not as many fans outside of the last game. But now all of a sudden it's getting closer to the season of playing real games and to give our guys a chance to play against each other, because after a while you beat up on each other so much in practice, you want to play in games, and then the scrimmage against each other with fans. So it'll be fun for our staff to see it as well. But I think October the 30th we'll be here.
Cuonzo, how close are you to figuring out your rotation? I mean, last year, I think at this time, you pretty much had 8 or 9 guys that you kind of knew where you were.
Not close, really, and I don't say we're far either. And again, I don't go into games. The one thing I always like to try to have, if possible, is a starting 5. Now, I've never been a guy to try to change the starting 5 every other game, and not to say it would never happen. But I like to get into a starting 5, because even if you're coming off the bench, you like to know when you're getting your minutes and when you're going into the game. And I don't want to shuffle guys just every other game, try this 5, try that 5. I mean, my biggest thing as a coach, always trying to get that starting 5. Then after that, you have different lineups, late game, 2 minutes left in the game, you need defensive stop, offensive possession, you need to make free throws. Then that varies, but I like to try to get a 5 going into the season. And we're close, but we're not there yet.
Because there's guys who have, say, started last year, depending on how that starting 5 turns out, they may have a different role this year coming up than maybe coming off the bench.
Yes, possibly. And again, for me, the most important thing is winning ball games. They have every right to be starters, and I don't have a set lineup before the season starts. Okay, here's a starting 5, whatever happens. I mean, they have to earn it. They're working toward earning that and solidifying it. Because, again, I never want to go into a situation 3 games later, let's change the lineup, outside of a guy being injured or sick.
Are you committed to having one of the 2 centers in the starting lineup?
If they earn it,
Right.
yes.
Do you think you're on track for that right now?
We're on pace to get a starting 5. I think we're probably 75% where I think we will be.
I think he meant, are you on pace to have one of those 2 big guys be
If
one
they
of the
earn it.
starters?
If they earn it,
So they still have to prove that.
That's ongoing.
yes.
But it looks Brown and Rab have kind of solidified their spots in that group, you think?
I think so. They work toward it, yes. Yeah.
And is Davis a guy you think could redshirt, or are you expecting him to?
Oh, that's something we talk about as a staff. And again, that's a decision that you're talking about Roman, right? I think that's a decision that we'll make, and ultimately I have to make in doing what's best for Roman. Because last thing, you want to have a young man that play 15 minutes a game, doesn't play 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and he doesn't benefit from that a whole year. I think it really a waste of year. So just ultimately I have to make a decision on what's best for Roman and our team.
How's he played?
Played hard. He plays extremely hard, and I think that's a gift. And nowadays I think it's more considered a skill when a guy plays as hard as he plays.
A few weeks ago, you were thinking about maybe adding another walk-on. Do you think you're gonna go forward with that?
I would never rule it out, but we haven't added anyone yet. But I wouldn't rule it out, but no one as of yet.
What does Nick Kerr bring to your group?
He's a guy that can make shots. He's also a good guy in the locker room because he's been in a championship locker room, so he knows that feel. Whether he played in that game or not, he knows what that feels like. He's seen it. He's been around his dad. I mean, I guess he's been in a championship locker room probably since he was a kid. So, and that rubs off because, again, he's able to speak through guys and speak to guys about, here's my 2 cents. And this is a group of guys that really embrace that. They appreciate it. This is a humble group. These aren't arrogant guys from the standpoint, I don't need that information. You're not a starter, you're not playing a lot, so what does it matter? These guys respect and applaud that information, and he's willing to give it.
Are there minutes for a kid like that?
If he earns it.
Do you
have a theme here.
do you want Rab to develop kind of into a true center, or do you like him kind of in more of a power forward?
Well, I think if he's blessed to be on the path he's on, I don't know and I'm not saying this to sound sarcastic, but I don't know if there's a traditional center like Shaquille O'Neal anymore. I think at that level, this level, he'll be a power forward, he'll be a center. I mean, you look at the championship game, this last NBA Finals. That was a situation where Draymond Green was playing the center. So I think those days are over. I just think what you present, how you match up against other teams. So I think he'll be at both positions when it's all said and done.
Have you been experimenting with some small lineups in practice? Do you like how that's looking?
Yes. We've had him he's been at the 5 quite a bit, especially when King was out for a couple weeks. He was at the 5. So, yeah, he's been at the 5. He's been at the 4. Most cases, he's been at the 4 for us. But late game situations, he'll probably be at the 5.
How are you guys doing health-wise right now?
Everybody's healthy as of right now. Yeah.
He can create some difficult matchups at the 4, I would imagine, right? Because he can stretch out.
Yes, because he can make a shot. He has a really good shot, 15, 17-foot shot. But even at the center spot, if you got a bigger guy on him, they can get around him, make plays. Yes.
How about defense when he's defending somebody who's bigger than him at the 5? I mean, how is he doing at that?
He's made adjustments. It was tougher for him in June and July, and even some spurts in Australia. But he's been a lot better at it because he knows how to block shots. He knows how to use his length, and just getting used to it.
But you probably, I'm guessing, don't want to have him have a steady diet of having to defend a guy 35 pounds bigger than him and potentially getting in foul trouble at that end.
Well, again, I like to put him in the best situation to be successful, but if that happens, then he has to do his job and defend him.
Yeah, but I mean, at times, but not if you're matched up against Caleb Tarczewski, you probably don't want to.
Then I think at the same time, Caleb Tarczewski has to match up with Ivan Rabb.
Right.
It's basketball. I mean, the biggest key is getting stops and putting the ball in the basket. It's what you have to do. Yeah.
Has there been anybody that's kind of like made a big leap in improvement, or anything that sort of surprised you during this kind of training camp process here?
I think guys have gotten better from the summertime up until now, but I think if there's one guy, I would probably say, it's 2 guys. I think and Tyrone Wallace and making decisions. And one thing we talk about as a coach, having eyes behind your head. Tyrone's done a great job of seeing stuff behind him, on the side of him. He's done a really good job with that, and he showed that in Australia. And I think the other guys are Jordan Matthews with his ability to put the ball on the floor and attack the rim. Because he really can shoot the ball with his shot fake and attack. He's making strong drives. So I think those 2 guys have made a noticeable jump in what they're doing. I mean, small things, but really big in how they go about it and taking care of the basketball.
Is Wallace kind of looking more like a true point guard to you right now? Is he getting more comfortable with that role?
Yeah, I think, again, I'm not saying he's this guy, but I think he's more in the mode of Russell Westbrook, those type of guys. I mean, not necessarily a traditional point that you saw in John Stockton, those guys years ago, but he's a guy that handles the ball. He makes decisions. You're not taking the basketball from him. He can get to the rim. He can make plays. He shoots pull-ups. He has length. He defends. So if that's what you're talking about, I think, yeah, he's that type of guy.
The explosive physical nature of his game.
Yes, I mean, he's over 200 pounds now, and he uses it well. He gets to where he wants. He gets to his spots. And, again, you're not taking the ball from him. So once he gets in the lane, shoots his pull-ups, he's tough to guard.
Is Brown a guy that you can see feeling comfortable, with the game on the line, taking that last shot?
Well, right now we probably have 4 guys, I think, that have the ability and want that ball when the game's on the line.
Those being the 3 returners and Brown?
We have 4 guys I think have that in them. Oh, yeah, right now.
So you just won't say who it is?
We have 4 of them, I think.
Is it who we think they are?
I think we should come up with 3 or 4 different ways to ask that. How is Sam Singer playing?
Well, playing well. And I just texted him last night. I thought he had one of his best practices. Sam's strong. He's physical. He gets to the rim, facilitates, runs the offense. As long as he maintains his level of confidence, he's a good basketball player. Has a really good mind for the game, a good feel, a willing passer. Again, it's just hopefully he can maintain what he's doing right now.
How does it work when Sam and Tyrone are playing together in terms of
who's the point?
Yeah.
Well, if it's transition, whoever gets it off the glass. If one of those guys gets the rebound, he becomes a point because we flow into offense, not necessarily a set play. Now it just depends. We run a specific set play on action. If Tyrone knows he's getting the ball and we need him off the ball to make a play, then he knows he's off the ball and Sam handles the ball. So it really just depends on what we're running. But both of those guys bring it up the court. They can run the offense, and the other one knows where he needs to be.
And how about defending the other team's point guard?
either one, but it also depends on the scouting report. If, like for example, if the point guard on the other team is guarding Sam, so we going back the other way, Sam's on him, that's Sam's man. Yeah, he'll defend him. But it depends on personnel, who we're going against. We might want Sam to chase a guy because he's a good guy, run off screen. Sam might be the guy defending him. Tyrone guards the point.